Now, we're on to the last section, just general tips. So, how should you organize scenes in scene collections? Well, never use display capture as your most basic capture. Just know you have game capture and you have window capture. You do not need to be lazy and use display capture. The reason why it is so bad, I keep telling people this, but they just don't listen, is because now you have to deal with desktop audio. Make sure you can disable it, but what's the point? Now you have to deal with, oh, look at this, oh, I wanted to open that, oh, I wanted to open that. Now information is leaked. Now your Wi-Fi can be seen by other people. If you live like in an apartment, that's pretty bad, because then people can see if you live in their apartment building and they can easily dox you. If they can see your Wi-Fi in the neighborhood, they can easily dox you. Maybe you have an embarrassing notification here. Maybe you just don't want people to see this stupid taskbar, which most people shouldn't want it, yet, that always seems to be an issue. So it's just for the sake of not being so terribly lazy. Like, yes, there's only a few situations to use it in. Again, this one where I'm having to record it to see these context menus and to give you an example of what everything looks like. And I can think of a few others, like a game not instantly capturing. So, then you'd use a display capture, so then people could instantly see it while in studio mode. You set it up in a different screen. Now maybe you don't have two monitors, I get that, but please just don't be lazy. In fact you can hide the OBS window from screen capture. It's in general, it's one of the first 3 settings. So no, people won't even see this if you don't have 2 monitors and have that on, right? So like capturing every single thing that happens on the screen and having no choice over the audio beyond whatever the heck you put it at for yourself, or whatever the heck the game has it at, like, it can give a really bad experience. It's like, think about it. Let's say you're in a Discord call and it's a good volume for you, but it's way too quiet for everyone else. Now that's stream's problem. But you know what people aren't gonna do? They're not gonna say, oh, why is everybody else so quiet? They're just gonna probably turn their phone up. God forbid they're turning their PC up. You should never do that. You should always have your PC at one volume. One volume that makes it so, watching YouTube videos you generally watch are loud enough. I'll get into that later. Hold on. In the audio tips section when we're there. That's why I recommend so much to make a scene for every single time you do a new source. I can't show it off, but let's say you have a bunch of game captures in one scene. That's terrible. Now you have to add application audio captures even more into the one scene. The point of scenes is so you could switch easily to it. So then, you can switch, Roblox is here, Fortnite's there, Big Booty Warriors is right there. Oh yeah, okay. So you know what to actually record, or what to stream, and what you're switching to is safe. Instead of, am I gonna show my hentai wallpaper to every single person in the world because I decided to be lazy? And of course, no, I don't have a hentai wallpaper. It's really just as basic as that, honestly. I like the snow, alright? So that's why I always implore you, make a game capture, give it an application audio capture, and have it so you can reuse your mic settings. Because honestly, having to set this up manually each time is pretty terrible. That's why I use source copy. But you don't have to do this like me. Honestly, one day I might just compress all of these into a recording thing. So then I only have to switch between stream and recording. Now, sure, this is safe. I know when this is fine, but it's not like I use any hotkeys. I'm never gonna accidentally switch to another scene, if I'm being completely honest. And now, with an example, just imagine this is a game capture. Imagine this is mic, and imagine there's an audio thing there. Now you have control over all of those. If the game capture's small, you can make it big. If it's a weird aspect ratio, you can adjust it. And it's so you don't show how the secret sauce is made, how the gears work, so then it could all be seamless. Because I can't tell you how many times it's annoyed me that once people close a game, you just see their desktop background for a bit. Or maybe for the entire time until they're launching a whole nother game. So don't be lazy. Not in this way, where you just use a display capture and call it a day, or a year, or a lifetime. Actually make different scenes for every single source. And I just mean source as in like, you stream in Fortnite, you stream in Big Booty Warriors 3, you stream in your browser, that way. Because then you know you're actually switching to it. You're not showing anything. Because then you're just gonna have a bad time, okay? Okay, now an audio tip. Everybody's mic, it works very differently, sounds very differently, works very differently, plugs in differently, has different default effects. Maybe it has software that came with it that gives it effects. I'd recommend turning those off, honestly, unless you somehow have a raw audio output or input from your mic. And yeah, okay, I use that for OBS, and everybody else in games just hears the default filters that make it sound okay. Using filters in OBS is much better. You see this thing, you've been maybe wondering what it is. It takes the mic and all of its filters and outputs it as an input. So I could use it for games to make the mic sound better without having to change the gain, because changing the gain on the mic constantly is how to end up with terrible audio. And these filters, I know they're good because I never have to change up my audio during editing anymore, at least. If I forget to put these on, yeah, I at least have the filters there I can put on in DaVinci, but this is so I don't have to do that. All I have to do is just cut up the random bits that are left over. On stream, most people don't notice those bits. In videos, I only do it because I feel like it's important to do it. On stream, you know, this works. I don't get any complaints. No, yeah, probably because people don't want to complain. Anyways, next tip. Now I did give you a general sense of where to be, you know, around here, you know, for your mic. But if this right here sounds way too loud to you when in like a test recording, you're wrong. The nicest way possible, you're wrong. You shouldn't have your volume up that loud in Windows, okay? Now, I get that most phones don't have headphone jacks anymore, but you might have wireless earbuds, you might have a little adapter. Your phone tells you when audio's too much for your ears to handle over a prolonged period of time because it's just too loud, right? So now, taking that into account, you match that up on your PC, and then everything at its base natural audio will sound good. It won't be overly loud, because I know I usually discount phone people for helping you with your audio because they can so easily turn it up and down because it's designed that way. And I do say on PC, you shouldn't change it that much. You shouldn't change it ever. You should have it at one certain volume. I've always had it at 12 just because that's what was best for it, with my headphones at least. Most headphones are built pretty similarly, so it usually won't be needed. If you're like running higher ohm headphones, then okay, yeah, you're gonna have to adjust it quite a bit for yourself. But most people don't run that. They run 32 at most. Plus, to run those like 250 ohm headphones, don't you have to have like a specific DAC, I think it's called, for it? Yeah, no, that probably doesn't matter. But then how should you adjust your audio? I already gave you the method, you know, match it to what your phone says is fine just before it's too loud over a prolonged period. It'll usually the volume icon red once it's too loud, so just the one before that. Match that on your computer. In what order though? Well, you do this audio right here, then you do it in hardware, like an amp, maybe it's called. I don't know, I feel like I remember it being called a DAC. Okay, but I guess another example for hardware is the headphones itself. Like if you, for some reason you're using wireless headphones all the time and that has a little volume thing, then you adjust that second. OS matters more. I understand not wanting to have your headphones at 100, your wireless headphones at 100, but it might be necessary to do that before turning your Windows volume up or down, or Linux, I guess. Apple maybe, but I don't know what you're doing streaming on Apple products. You can't really do anything on there. Maybe IRL streaming, but phone's its own beast. It's usually correct from default. And then, after you've adjusted your OS and hardware, you adjust the application or game. Usually there's in-game settings for audio, but that may not be the case. It might just be in the default Windows mixer. That's what I'm also considering in this category. You know, this default Windows mixer. This is considered third on the hierarchy. And this is third because, you know, when you're playing offline, you still want the audio to be good for yourself, right? And on the rare occasion that it's too loud, you at least have a way to make it lower. And then finally, you adjust it in OBS, because now it's all correct for you. Now you make it correct for the audience. Always remember to split your audio channels. I have taught you, you know, good default audio levels, so if you don't, it shouldn't sound too bad, but still having some agency over the audio on different tracks is good. It's mainly for recording people, not streaming people, because all streaming people have to do is make sure the audio levels match what I told them. Since during streaming, they're all on one track. By default, track 1. So if you're using simple mode, put everything on track 1. Maybe not music, if you're able to do that. Now don't just completely bum rush into streaming just because you think you're ready. I get it, you know. You may think, oh, I followed everything, so it must be good, right? No, you should make sure your audio levels are correct, remember the hierarchy, and then test it in the video itself at 100% in the application, because that's what people are gonna hear. You don't want them to have to turn it down. I don't know, maybe have a game open, maybe do some loud things in it, and maybe have like your music on and see if that's overpowering. You just want to test with recordings, and you know, assuming you followed everything, you're more correct than anybody during stream will ever be. If you've listened up to now through everything, then you know how to set up audio, you know how to do it right, and you know that it's correct levels, because I'm using that same exact rules. Even though I don't think about it, I am using those same exact rules for myself. You can see it. You've been seeing it this whole time. On this, you can see it's peeking around here, and it sounds perfectly fine. Assuming you have your audio perfectly fine now. And if you do it like me now, you're correct. You're not wrong anymore. You've become correct. Congratulations. Takes a lot to be correct, but you've done it. Okay, so if you're ever like playing something new on stream and like you didn't plan for it beforehand, use studio mode, because then you could just leave them on a, let's say, intermission screen, and then set it up pretty quickly, assuming there's no intro to the game. If you know there is, then you can use your display capture above everything else. Now, of course, you know, make sure that sounds fine and it's not capturing way too much other dumb audio. And then, you know, during that, you set it up in studio mode, assuming the game lets you. I know FNAF is pretty iffy about that. So yeah, alright. So I have told you to switch from Streamlabs OBS to OBS. Why? Because Streamlabs OBS is built like a Jenga tower. It's built to fall down. It's built to be inherently flawed for some reason. It's just not optimized, and it removes features. And anything you can do on there, you can just as easily do it on OBS. You want to do an overlay? Well, when you transfer everything from Slobs to OBS, it's just a browser source. All those little overlays that you had and you thought, oh, I need to use Streamlabs. I really need to use Streamlabs, because if I don't, I'm never gonna be able to use this thing. When you translate them over, it's just browser sources. So clearly, the main gimmick of Streamlabs OBS is completely useless. So now that we've learned the problems of it, how are you gonna switch? Have both installed. In Slob's ear scene collection will be there. You can name it something if you want, but it'll just tell you what's in Slobs anyways when you're importing. In OBS, you go right up here. And then, now get this, you press import. OBS can automatically find importable scenes and collections from supported third-party programs. Would you like OBS to automatically find them for you? Wow, it's like they know people want to switch back to the actually good one. Yes, please do OBS. Now, I don't have it because I'm not a loser and I didn't choose Slobs. But if you did, it would look like this. Thank you to the person in the video. Which, yeah. So now, you import them and everything's there. And you can see your overlays are browser sources because that's what they always were. They weren't worth that performance loss and that, what was it? Was it easier integration of their overlays? It's already easy. Look how quickly I can add a browser source. And I just put in .com/overlay. Wow, that's crazy. I just copy and paste it there, and then I make the width and height so easy, and I can control the audio in OBS. Wow, really? It was that easy this entire time? Yes, it was. That's it. That's all you needed to do. If you don't believe me, I will have a video in the description on how to do it in 2 minutes. This guy explains it very easily. And if for some reason something isn't working, you could always look it up. I doubt something wouldn't be working when it's just browser sources. Right? I already told you the settings of the browser sources you can change, so if that's all you need to change, well, you could go back to that chapter. It's not that hard. And now, since you're free from the shackles of Slobs, God, what a terrible name. I mean, you should have known what you were getting into when you were choosing the thing called Slobs. Welcome to the original, which can do all the same things, but better. With your freedom, what will you do? Hopefully be better. Okay, some YouTube tips. If you stream on Twitch and want them archived to YouTube, Twitch allows you to do that pretty easily if you connect your YouTube account. And don't remove any audio on Twitch before putting it on YouTube, since YouTube has that feature where it can remove everything but your voice. Sure, it sounds a little weird, but at least your voice is retained properly. So yeah, YouTube does use Opus audio. You can see it in the stats for nerds, but don't record like that. It doesn't really save any upload time or anything, and honestly some things don't even support it, so like what's the point? What is really the point of recording as Opus? Now MP4 though, you should render as MP4. I still recommend recording in NKV, but rendering a video as MP4 is good. You can upload MKV if you want. It's just MP4 I know does actually give a upload speed boost. If you're gonna edit videos yourself, you should use DaVinci Resolve easily over Adobe Premiere Pro. You know what Adobe's been doing. They've been doing a lot of bad things, saying your content isn't yours, it's actually ours. Just because you're paying for our software every year doesn't mean you actually made any of that stuff that you made. You know, that jazz? Yeah. And like DaVinci Resolve is truly the best free video editor because there's only like there's watermarks, but only on like the studio effects, which most people aren't using. I don't even know why you'd choose to use it on Resolve. Honestly, there's not reason to, and plus I'm pretty sure there's workarounds to making similar effects too. So truly is, and like big cinematic studios use it. You're gonna tell me you're not gonna use it because what? Adobe? No, it can do everything Adobe does for free. Maybe some support, like it lacks like 8K video. I know it can't without Studio. You need to pay for that. But who's using 8K video? It can record for it can render out 4K 60. That's the most YouTube supports. So you got that. Yeah, you just have everything YouTube would need in DaVinci Resolve. Like maybe a few effects that you'd want. I'm sure you could find workarounds. You don't need Adobe Premiere Pro. You don't need any Adobe thing, honestly. I use Pixlr E for thumbnails. I've been using it for years. So yeah, alright, some Twitch tips. You're not allowed to get naked on stream anymore. Sorry to say, that's just the way it is. I'm just the messenger. Yeah. In all seriousness, you shouldn't become affiliate if you don't plan on doing Twitch for the rest of your life. It's kind of a hot take, but hear me out. When people see ads on a small stream, first of all, you're not making much money from those anyways, barely pennies. And second, it's just a reason for them to stay away from your stream. It's a reason for them to leave because they have to wait a minute, 2 or 3, just to see some small streamer, right? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense for them to do. You could still get donations without being an affiliate. Sure, no emotes. Who needs emotes? But everybody can just use their words, you know? I guess you can have people use 7TV, but it doesn't look good if you set it up wrong. So just think about it. Plus, subs. Amazon takes 50% plus from subs, right? They can't take away any from donations. They already took away some from bits. But they can absolutely take more from subs. So it's just not worth it to guilt people into buying subs just because you decided to become an affiliate when you don't even want to do it, when you're not even making much money from it. It's a waste of time for everyone, so just don't. Hey, if you don't want to stream, you don't gotta stream. Nobody's making you stream. Honestly, you could try making videos. You know, there's nobody you need to talk to, because again, streaming's for talking to chat. Why are you streaming if you're not gonna talk to chat? You can make videos if you don't want to talk to a chat. That's not why I do it, but still. You should always have a plan for stream. Like, if you have a plan, but then you think of something new, then alright, that's fine. I already told you how to set it up on the fly. It's pretty easy, it only takes a few minutes. But if you don't have a plan at all, then eventually you're just going to be sitting there doing nothing, right? I've been guilty of this. Back in 2024 when I was streaming like 40 plus days in a row, that was just terrible. I couldn't think of anything to do by the end of it. I had to keep asking chat, and that got annoying. So always make sure to plan and have a backup just in case. Alright, recommended plugin. Source copy. I've already shown it, but you can save filters and then paste them from the file later onto something else. It doesn't even have to be the same kind of input. I could put a compressor on the display capture. Now I probably can't put a video filter on the mic, but still. A link to that will also be down below. So if you want source copy, there it is. And you should probably keep the file around. Whenever OBS updates, it seems to disable it working. Even though the same version works across all those versions, you still have to reinstall it, weirdly. It's whatever, it only takes up a little bit of space. And that's it, that's all there is. I would recommend Stream Elements, but they have their own app now that does all the same stuff, and I use that now whenever I choose to stream, just because it makes sense. I have 2 monitors anyway. That's how I've been referencing the document without having it on screen, you know? And I know this guy might have seemed like lazy. That's kind of the point. The point is, you know, me and you, Joe Schmoes, can just understand what the heck I'm talking about here. Like, how I explained the compressor? I didn't explain it like you knew what the heck a compressor was. I explained it like you're just my friend, who I'm trying to explain what the heck a compressor does. Saying, oh, this you have it lower if you want it louder on the upward compressor. This is where the compressor starts, bruh. This is how long it takes for it to start. I don't just call it attack and call it a day. That's the point of this. So in layman's terms, you know what the heck is going on. Basic for a reason. So, extract our patience. Have a good day. Or else.